Jalebis start with a simple batter that is fried in a circular funnel-like shape till crispy, and it's then dunked in a simple syrup to soak in all of that sweet goodness. The result is a crispy treat with a juicy center. This is the recipe you've been waiting for. We're going to be making jalebis. Hi everyone, I'm Ahmed. Welcome back to my channel. Years ago, I never thought that I would be making my own jalebis. I love these delicious crispy treats that are filled with sugar syrup, but I never thought that I would actually make them myself. Well, they are super easy to put together. I'm going to show you this recipe that makes this in an instant. Before I go any further with this recipe, do make sure you subscribe to my channel and make sure to ring that bell so you're notified every time I upload a new video. Now, let's get cooking. I'm going to start with the sugar syrup, also called the chasni. In my pot, I'm adding 3 cups of sugar and 2 cups of water, and I'm just going to heat this and allow it to dissolve. While it's dissolving, I like to add 2 cardamom seeds to the liquid for just a subtle flavor of cardamom. I crushed these to expose the seeds and I'm just going to throw them in. This is totally optional. Some people like to add saffron as well. It's totally up to you. Next, I'm going to add the juice of half a lime or lemon. Citric juice in the syrup will prevent the sugar crystals from forming later. As the sugar impurities come to the surface, just skim them off with a spoon. Note that 3 cups of sugar is a lot and you will likely have some syrup left over, but it's vital to have more than you need to soak up the jalebis. You can use the leftover syrup if you plan to make another batch of jalebis or even if you're planning to make gulab jamuns. This syrup needs to get to a one-string consistency. This means when you touch the syrup between your fingers, it should pull like a string. In this recipe, the syrup needs to be not too thick and not too thin. Too thick and it won't penetrate the jalebi, and too thin, it could ruin the crispy texture of the jalebi. It's also very important to use the right size pot. I chose this 9-inch pot as it will comfortably fit about 4 jalebis as I fry them, and it also will give me a few inches of liquid for the jalebis to soak in. I like to stop heating my syrup just before this stage. I know it's sticky enough as I can feel it. Remember that the syrup will thicken as it sits, so I will warm it up again later when I need it. I'm going to now take this off the heat and work on the batter. In a bowl, I'm going to add 2 cups of regular all-purpose flour, also called maida. I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons of baking powder. And next, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of oil. Some people like to add melted ghee. It's totally up to you. Next, I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of yogurt. For best results in the quick fermentation process, sour yogurt is best. So if you have yogurt that's been sitting in your fridge for a few days, it's ideal. You can use a regular whisk, but I prefer to use an electric one as it makes the job much easier. So I'm just going to start to whisk all of this together. I have a cup of water here and I will add this in slowly just to make sure that the batter is lump-free. Typically I will need a little over a cup, but I will add a little bit more later. This is looking good, but it's a little bit on the thick side and it's definitely going to need a little more water. At this stage, I'm ready to add color. I like to use powdered color. My favorites are this egg yellow and this deep orange. I'm going to start with a little bit and I'm going to add more as I need it. I'm going to add another 1/4 cup of water and I'm going to whisk everything together. You can also add the color when you add the flour, but I like to add it at this stage as when you start to whisk the flour when it's dry, the particles are usually airborne. If you add color at that stage, it will be airborne with the flour, and trust me, I'm telling you from my experience, this color can be very difficult to get off some of the surfaces if you're not careful. Adding it to a wet batter will decrease the chances of that color getting all over your kitchen counter. This looks really nice, but it's still very light, so I'm going to add another 1/4 teaspoon and mix it in. By the way, some people add color to the sugar syrup instead of the batter, but I'm here to tell you that this is a really bad idea. When you hold the jalebi, the color will get onto your fingers if it's in the sugar syrup, and then it will likely get onto your clothes. By keeping the syrup clear, you seal the jalebi in. Colored jalebis are usually traditional, but if you prefer to leave color out, it's totally up to you. Use a spatula to mix everything well, although I was thinking that a marble jalebi might look really cool. This is the bottle I'm going to be using to squeeze the batter out. It's a very inexpensive squeeze bottle, and the fact that it's red means it won't stain. I've tried using a piping bag as well, but have the most control with this bottle. If you have a cap for your bottle, it's very handy as you can turn it upside down when it's almost empty so the batter can creep down to the nozzle. This part though could be in my way, so I will secure it with an elastic band later. The easiest way to fill the bottle is to use a disposable piping bag. Place the bag in a sturdy glass and fill it with the batter. Put the plastic bottle in the sturdy glass, and I'm going to snip the end off the piping bag and just squeeze everything into the bottle. If you prefer, you could use a funnel or any other means to fill it, but this method works really well. Now I'm going to put the lid on and I'm going to secure the cap with an elastic band. Make sure you're fully set up before you start to make your jalebis. I have my sugar syrup here, it's on a heating element, and I'm going to be turning the heat on and off as required. I want the sugar syrup to stay consistently warm. I have oil heating up in my pan. I'm not using a regular frying pan or a kadai. Instead, I'm using a saute pan and I have about 1 inch of oil that is heating up in here. You need to have enough oil for the jalebis to cook. This pan is about 12 inches wide and it's going to give my jalebis enough room to swell up as they cook. I have 2 slotted spoons. I like to save one for the oil and one for the sugar syrup. And I've laid out parchment paper so I can place all of the jalebis in a layer and allow them to air dry. It's a good idea just to test the oil first. When you're ready, start to pipe the batter into concentric circles straight into the hot oil. Jalebi till it's crisp on both sides, and then take it out of the oil and dunk it quickly into the sugar syrup and allow them to soak on both sides for 30 to 60 seconds. It's very important to get the freshly fried jalebi directly into the syrup. While it's hot, it's going to suck in that syrup right away. If you waste time trying to drain the oil, it's going to cool the jalebi and the sugar won't be absorbed that quickly. Once soaked, remove the jalebi, let the excess sugar syrup drain, and lay it on some parchment paper in a single layer so it can air dry. This is why it's very important to have your mise en place ready, as you will have to move like clockwork from the oil to the syrup and then from the syrup laying it flat to dry. There's nothing like a fresh, warm jalebi. You can eat them as is or garnish them with pistachios or other nuts. You can also dunk it in ice cream or rubbery and eat it any way you wish. I've also heard that some people will actually eat a jalebi between buttered bread. This is ready to eat. Share and enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me on Cravings Food Adventures. Didn't I tell you it was super easy to make jalebis? Go out and make them in your own home and let me know in the comments how they turned out. If you love this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, share it with your family and friends. And don't forget to ring the bell so you're notified every time I upload a new video. And be sure to follow me behind the scenes on all my social channels. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter. Until I see you next time, do take care, stay safe, and happy eating. Bye.